Union. And we are more concerned than any other about what happened in our neighborhood. We want to create this Maghreb, and we want to create the good atmosphere for an acceleration of the Maghrebian integration. And naturally, we follow the situation with this very concern. All Moroccan people, and we follow this evolution, noting that there are some new expression in Libya. There are also some people who continue to support Colonel Gaddafi. What is important is first to have the ceasefire, and then, as I mentioned before, to have this inclusive dialogue with all people, not only between all people, not only in the east of Libya, in Benghazi, but also others, because there were also some protests during these last weeks in the west of Libya and in the central area of Libya. People of Libya have to decide. In Morocco, all political parties joined the opinion expressed by His Majesty in 2009 that the real democracy starts at the local basis. And in this context, His Majesty proposed this important reform of an advanced regionalization. Advanced regionalization means that people will elected directly, and then there will be a council as local government, and this local government elected have to manage many issues. And it's really important to assure the success of this change. And the regional council needs support, needs expertise to be sure that the program was elected to implement a program will be well implemented. And it's not easy. It's not easy in terms of good management, good governance, fighting against the corruption, and a possibility here to share some experience with many countries like Mexico or like Indonesia. And I talk on these specific issues with Bob Zolik on Monday afternoon, because it's an important step. But what is important is that beyond this important step, His Majesty decided to have an avant-gardist revision and the reform of the Constitution. Not only regionalization, but more of that. More of that. It will be our 5th revision of the Constitution, and the result will be a new Morocco.
Could I just follow up and ask you to say a little bit more about specifics of the new strategic relationship between Morocco and the United States?
Morocco is the unique African country which signed an FTA with your country. It's important responsibility, but it means that Morocco was prepared for that. There are many phases and steps. We signed the agreement, it's implemented, and beyond the trade and the investment, the FTA is important because it will accompany these domestic and political and judiciary reforms. No trade, no business without transparency. No trade, no business without just and fair justice. No trade and investment without a good IPR measures. And I think that now we are mature to go forward also in terms of strategic dialogue. Then, for economic, trade, investment, we have to create, and we decide to create the mechanism to give this impulse to our economic ties. On politic side, Maghreb, Al-Qaeda, Africa, the new world, new Arab world, trafficking, cocaine trafficking coming from South of America to our region. There are many things to exchange and to share, but also to decide on this specific level. At the level also of the UN. And we note that the Obama's administrations prefers the multilateral system. Then it's mean that your administration have to be in touch with all countries for the reform of the Security Council, for the reform of UN, but also for peace and security in many regions, namely in Africa.
What would you say to Americans who have kind of planned to be tourists that come to Morocco this summer? Is the welcome met? Is it safe?
Someone said to me many years ago that for many citizens, Morocco is Monaco, and Morocco is somewhere in Africa. Others, and I'm very pleased to meet many Americans friends saying that I was in Morocco 20 years ago, beautiful country. It's important for our friend to make the distinction between what can happen in our neighborhood, far or immediate neighborhood, and Morocco. It's important because we need this encouragement. We are open to receive more tourists from this wonderful country. We need to receive more investment. And I think doing that, each one will contribute humbly for this better world, for not only Arab region, but universal world.
World Footprints Radio. Going back to tourism, can you talk about how tourism will be folded into your public diplomacy initiatives? What initiatives you have going forward?
You know that the diplomat have to talk about everything, but a diplomat is don't know everything. And he can talk badly about some interesting subject. But because I am also Minister of Cooperation, I can try to say to you that the tourism represents 8% of our GDP. And Morocco is a lovely country. Mediterranean area, Atlantic area, mountains, desert, old cities, imperial cities, in total open mind of people. Our people is a mixed, and the source of our identity are mixed. Sub-Saharan country, Arabs, Muslims, Jews, Andalus. And it's represent, I think, a good and interesting destination. What we try to do is to not only in promoting like I do now, but also to convince investments, because the best mean is to have some foreign investors. And when the foreign investor, like it happened during the last recent years, invest, then they do the promotion better than any officials, because they need some rentability for their investments. Yes.
Thank you. I'm Julian Josephson, a retired science writer here in the area, and have an NGO known as Bootstrap express. Mr. Minister, you bring up cooperation. Could you perhaps say a few words to address the matter of scientific and environmental cooperation between our two countries?
Fruitfully, Morocco is not a producer of gas and oil. And that's why we try to promote all the new and renewed energy. We have an ambitious plan, and it starts to produce 20% of our energy through the solar energy and another 20% through the wind energy. This program was welcomed, and the Secretary Clinton was present in Morocco when the King launched this important program. And it showed that we can work together not only at the governmental level but also with your companies. The scientific dossier is also very important, and we can give a concretization of the Obama's speech in Cairo, because he does not talk only about politics or economy. He insists on this specific issue, and Morocco will host during this year the first USA Muslim summit in Morocco, with people from university, from research centers, to see how we can cooperate to modernize our economy. And it's important for all Muslim countries to do that, thanks to this initiative. Once again, working in total coherence and complementarity with other members of G8 or with European Union countries. Thank you very, very much for your participation. Hope to see you soon after the adoption by referendum of this new constitution. And thanks for your interest for Morocco and for the region.
Thanks for being here.
It's my duty.
We benefit from